Ever feel like maybe we missed a chapter or something when it comes to the whole Jesus story?
Yeah.
We're diving into a really fascinating book today.
Okay.
Excerpts from the Urantia book
Okay.
to uncover some surprising details about Jesus' life and mission.
Yeah, it's really interesting how the Urantia book kind of challenges our traditional understanding.
Yeah.
It paints this cosmic picture of Jesus, really highlighting like the universal significance of his choices.
Right.
We're not just talking about a man, walking around in Galilee.
Right.
We're talking about decisions that echoed throughout the universe.
Yeah, and those choices, that's what really got me, when I was reading through this. Like,
Right.
Did you know that, according to the Urantia book, the Jewish people of that time had, some really specific, almost outlandish expectations about their Messiah?
Absolutely. Yeah. They weren't just looking for like a spiritual leader. They yearned for like a conquering hero who would obliterate Roman rule and just like usher in this era of unimaginable abundance. It's almost as if they envisioned like Moses, but with vineyards just bursting with so much wine that like a single grape could fill gallons,
Wow. Talk about setting the bar high, huh?
Great.
So they were ready for a prosperity gospel centuries before it was cool.
Yeah.
But then Jesus arrives on the scene, and it's like he's not about earthly riches or political power.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the Urantia book really, it emphasizes how his message, which was so focused on spiritual transformation and love, directly challenge their deeply ingrained desire for material wealth.
Right.
And worldly domination. And it really makes you ponder, how often do our own desires cloud our ability to truly see and understand, a higher purpose,
It's a good question. And it makes you think about, how we approach spirituality even today.
Yeah.
Are we looking for quick fixes, outward blessings, or are we willing to do that inner work, that real heart-changing stuff?
Precisely. Yeah. Now, speaking of transformative moments, let's talk about Jesus' baptism.
Okay.
Most of us picture, John baptizing Jesus as this declaration of him being the Son of God, right?
Right.
But the Urantia book
describes something far more profound. What did you say?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It wasn't just a dip in the Jordan River, what I'm saying?
Right.
From what I read, it sounded like heavenly after party to end all after parties,
It's described as this momentous cosmic event, not merely a symbolic ritual.
Okay.
Picture this, okay? Yeah. Heavenly hosts gathering.
Right.
A personalized adjuster, which is essentially like Jesus' divine companion, descending upon him.
Wow.
And then a voice booming from the heavens proclaiming, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased."
Okay, now that's an entrance.
Right.
That's giving me chills just imagining it,
Yeah.
That's way more intense than anything I ever pictured.
But it emphasizes something crucial, though.
Right.
This wasn't just like a grand gesture for the crowds.
Exactly.
This is a deeply personal and profoundly spiritual experience for Jesus.
Exactly. Yeah, the Urantia book suggests that during this event, he actually saw a vision of his true self.
Wow.
As the Son of God. This wasn't about anyone else's recognition of him.
Right.
It was about his own self-realization.
Right.
It marked the end of his purely human life.
Okay.
And the beginning of his mission.
Yeah, it's like everything in his life up until that point had been Act 1.
Right.
And now the curtain's rising on Act 2.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which, speaking of Act 2, brings us to those infamous 40 days in the wilderness.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, that always seemed a bit ominous to me, 40 days alone, tempted by the devil, surviving on locusts and honey.
Yeah.
But the Urantia book presents a different take on this whole ordeal.
It does. It challenges that traditional view of the 40 days being solely about resisting temptation from the devil,
Yeah.
Instead, it frames them as this incredibly intense period of reflection and pivotal decision-making for Jesus. Think about it. He had just fully grasped his cosmic identity.
Right.
His true purpose in the grand scheme of the universe.
Right.
He needed time to process, to plan, to commune with the Father on a whole new level.
That makes a lot more sense than picturing him out there arguing with the devil over snacks.
Right. and power in exchange for his soul, you know?
Yeah.
It's a far more nuanced and frankly a much more
Right.
compelling narrative.
Absolutely. According to the Urantia book,
right?
Jesus wasn't grappling with some external tempter.
Right.
He was wrestling with the implications of his own divine power.
Wow.
You know, it's almost as if he was standing at a crossroads with the weight of the universe on his shoulders.
Oh, wow.
Deciding what kind of Messiah he was going to be.
Right.
And what that would mean.
Yeah.
Not just for humanity, but for all of creation.
Okay, so less about fighting off demons with a stick.
Right.
More about grappling with destiny and the fate of the universe.
Exactly.
No pressure there, Jesus.
Right. Exactly. And those choices, they weren't easy.
Right. He wasn't just deciding what to have for cosmic breakfast or something. He was making decisions that would reverberate throughout eternity, you know.
Wow.
According to the Urantia book, there were 6 key decisions that really shaped the course of his mission.
6 decisions to change the world, or maybe even the universe. Okay, I'm hooked. Let's unpack these life-altering decisions. Where do we even begin?
Let's start with perhaps the most striking one. His decision to forego superhuman assistance.
Okay.
Imagine he had legions of angels at his beck and call.
Wow.
Ready to swoop in and make everything right.
Yeah.
You know, he could have called on them to overthrow empires, silence his critics, perform miracles on a scale never before imagined.
Okay, I'll admit, if I had an angel squad on speed dial, I'd probably be using them for way less noble pursuits than changing the world.
Right.
So why not use them? What was the thinking there according to the Urantia book?
Right, it's tempting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Jesus, in his profound wisdom, you know, recognized that true power, you know, wasn't about wielding force or manipulating events. It was about aligning with his Father's will.
Okay.
About walking a path of love and understanding, even when it was difficult, you know?
Yeah.
He knew that forcing belief through miracles or angelic intervention wouldn't lead to the kind of deep, lasting transformation that he sought.
So it was about letting humanity kind of work things out for themselves, even if it meant kind of stumbling along the way.
Yeah. In a way, yeah.
It's like tough love Jesus style.
In a way, yes. But it speaks volumes about his unwavering faith in humanity's potential, you know?
Right.
Remember, the Urantia book really emphasizes that Jesus saw the divine spark within each of us.
Right.
You know, he believed that true growth comes from within, you know, from grappling with our own challenges, from making our own choices, both good and bad. You know, he wasn't about quick fixes or shortcuts. He was playing the long game, you could say.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because that idea that we're meant to figure things out for ourselves, that we grow through our struggles, it's a pretty common theme.
Right.
Across many spiritual traditions.
It is, yeah.
So no angel air support.
Yeah.
What was the next big decision on his cosmic to-do list?
Well, this one really makes you think about the nature of power itself.
Okay.
Jesus consciously chose to live within the bounds of natural law.
Okay.
Now remember, this is the Urantia book's perspective.
Right.
And it might differ from some traditional interpretations.
Right.
But the book suggests that he could have easily manipulated the laws of physics.
Wow.
You know, performed mind-blowing miracles at every turn, but he chose not to.
So he's basically saying I may have, you know, created the rules of reality, but I'm going to play by them too.
Yeah.
That's a pretty powerful statement.
It really is. It shows that he wasn't interested in being worshipped as some kind of, you know, magician or deity who bends reality to his whim.
Right.
The Urantia book, it suggests that he wanted to demonstrate that true power lies in understanding.
Okay.
And aligning with divine principles, not in bending them to our will.
Right.
You know, he was showing us a different way, a path of humility and surrender to something greater than ourselves.
It makes you think about that whole turn the other cheek philosophy.
Right.
That's not exactly the image of a conquering king that the Jewish people were hoping for. It's about It's about rising above,
Yeah.
about choosing love and compassion, even in the face of injustice.
It's so far removed from that image of a vengeful, powerful Messiah.
Right.
And yet that's what makes his message
Right.
so radical
Right.
and so enduring. He was challenging the very foundations of power
Right.
as it was understood then, and frankly as it's often still understood today. He was saying that true strength isn't found in dominance or control,
Right.
but in love, in forgiveness, in the courage to break free from cycles of violence and retribution.
And that kind of radical love,
Yeah.
it's contagious, right?
Yeah.
It has the power to transform not just individuals,
Right.
but entire societies.
Exactly. It's about planting seeds of a different kind of kingdom, a kingdom
Right.
built on love, compassion,
Yeah.
and mutual understanding.
And that brings us to his next big decision, right?
Right.
The one about miracles.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
if there's one thing that screams like, look at me, I'm the Messiah, it's the ability to walk on water and turn water into wine.
Right.
But according to the Urantia book, he wasn't about that life.
Not at all. The Urantia book really emphasizes how Jesus recognized that true faith
Right.
isn't about being wowed by spectacle.
Right.
It's not about, blind faith or being amazed by supernatural feats.
Yeah.
It's about something much deeper,
Right.
much more profound,
Yeah.
It's about an inner transformation, a deep abiding understanding of God's love and a commitment to living that love out in the world.
So less about like parting the Red Sea, more about parting the seas of like doubt and fear within people's hearts.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes you think like if he had gone around, performing like impossible feats,
Right.
wouldn't people have just become fixated
Totally, yeah.
on that, on wanting like
Right.
more and more spectacular displays?
Yeah.
Instead of actually like hearing his message?
It's a real possibility, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like those stories of spiritual teachers who deliberately avoid performing miracles because they understand that true transformation comes from within,
Yeah, right.
Imagine if instead of focusing on Jesus's message of love
Right.
and compassion,
Yeah.
his followers had just become obsessed with trying to replicate his miracles or demanding more spectacular displays of power.
Right. It would turn into a whole different kind of movement.
Totally.
More about seeking the supernatural show than embracing the spiritual substance.
Exactly.
It's almost like he was trying to avoid creating like spiritual groupies.
Right.
Who are just there for the encore performance and not the actual message.
Exactly. He understood that true faith isn't about seeking the extraordinary. It's about finding the extraordinary within the ordinary.
Right.
It's about recognizing the divine spark in ourselves.
Right.
And in each other,
Right.
And letting that awareness guide our actions.
Yeah.
Our thoughts, our interactions with the world.
It's a powerful reminder, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
Where it's so easy to get caught up
Right.
in the sensational, the flashy,
Right.
the things that grab our attention but don't necessarily nourish our souls,
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What if we approached our own lives,
Right.
our own spiritual journeys with that same kind of intentionality,
Right.
What if we focus less on seeking miracles and more on cultivating the kind of inner transformation that allows us to see the miraculous in every breath, every sunrise, every act of kindness.
Now that's a challenge worth embracing.
Right.
But we've only just begun to scratch the surface of Jesus's momentous choices, haven't we? What other profound decisions did he grapple with during those 40 days?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Jesus basically saying no thanks to angelic armies,
right?
Miracle marathons, and even ruling a physical kingdom.
Right.
What other like kind of earth-shattering choices were on his cosmic to-do list during those 40 days?
Well, the Urantia book highlights a decision.
Yeah.
that might seem a little paradoxical at first.
Okay.
Jesus chose to fully embrace his human experience.
Okay.
And this wasn't just about,
right.
appearing human. It was about fully inhabiting his humanity with all of its limitations and vulnerabilities.
Wait, so even though he was divine,
right,
he was choosing to actually live as one of us.
Yes, yeah.
To experience the full
yes.
spectrum of human emotions, the joys and sorrows, the doubts and fears, everything.
Exactly, yeah. It wasn't some kind of cosmic, play acting, He felt the weight of human emotions just as we do. Right. Experienced physical pain, exhaustion, even grappled with uncertainty and doubt.
I have to admit, I've never really considered the idea of Jesus wrestling with doubt. You know?
Right.
We always picture him as this unshakable figure.
Yeah.
Completely sure of himself and his purpose.
Right.
But thinking about him, experiencing those very human struggles, it makes him feel much more, I don't know, relatable.
Yeah, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes his whole story feel more accessible.
Right.
More human.
Absolutely, yeah. It really dismantles that distant, untouchable image that many have of him,
Right.
He wasn't some remote deity looking down on us.
Right.
He was right there with us, in the trenches of the human experience.
Right.
And that's a really powerful message because it means that his example, his life isn't some unattainable ideal.
Right.
It's something we can all aspire to. Something we can all learn from.
So in a way, by embracing his own humanity, he was showing us how to embrace ours, how to find the divine within the messy, complicated reality of being human,
Precisely, yeah. And that leads us to another crucial decision highlighted in the Urantia book.
Okay.
How to actually go about establishing his kingdom.
Right.
He had all these options on the table, right?
Right.
Force, spectacle, worldly power.
Yeah.
But he had already rejected them all.
Right.
So what did that leave him with?
Well, based on what we've been discussing, it sounds like he was left with the most radical and revolutionary force of all, love.
Exactly. But not just any love. The Urantia book really emphasizes that it was a love expressed through teaching, through healing, through compassionate service to others.
Okay, but let's be real for a second here.
Right.
Love and compassion, while beautiful and all, don't exactly scream regime change.
Yeah. Right.
How is that going to topple empires and usher in this new world order that he kept talking about?
Right.
It seems like a pretty tall order, even for someone like Jesus.
That's the incredible thing about his approach, though.
Okay.
The Urantia book, it suggests that Jesus understood that true revolution, lasting change, doesn't come from the top down.
Right.
It doesn't come from force or coercion.
Right.
It starts in the hearts and minds of individuals,
Right.
It begins with personal transformation.
Right.
With embracing a radically different way of living based on love, forgiveness, service to others.
So less about storming the castle gate.
Right.
More about rebuilding the world one heart at a time.
Yes, yeah.
It's about planting those seeds of love and compassion and trusting that they'll eventually blossom into something truly transformative.
You got it. Yeah. He knew that lasting change, the kind that really matters.
Right.
Happens organically from the inside out.
Right.
It's not about imposing his will.
Yeah.
But about inspiring others to embrace a new way of being, a path of love and understanding.
It's an incredibly powerful message.
Yeah.
One that feels just as relevant today as it was, back then.
Absolutely, yeah.
This whole deep dive has been like a master class in challenging our assumptions about Jesus and his mission.
Totally.
It's made me realize just how radical and revolutionary his message truly was, and how his example can still, inspire us to live differently, to choose love over fear, compassion over judgment, and service over self-interest.
It's amazing, isn't it, how these ancient teachings can still speak to us so powerfully across millennia.
It really is. Yeah. And as we wrap up our deep dive into the Urantia book's perspective on Jesus, is there a final provocative thought you think we should leave our listeners with?
The Urantia book reminds us that we might not possess Jesus's cosmic power, but the choices he made, those 6 pivotal decisions, they serve as a blueprint for our own lives. We all face choices, big and small, that shape our character, influence those around us, and contribute to the kind of world we're creating.
So it's like he's saying, okay, I've shown you the way. Now it's your turn. What will you do with this precious life?
Exactly.
What choices will you make?
Yes, precisely. Will we get caught up in the pursuit of power? Succumb to the allure of spectacle? Or will we choose a different path? Will we embrace the more challenging but ultimately more fulfilling path of love, compassion, and service? That's the question that the Urantia book, I think, leaves us with.
Talk about food for thought. This is one deep dive I have a feeling we'll all be unpacking for a long time.
Thanks
for joining us.
Thanks for having me.